long story short, my son started having attention issues in 2nd grade. Instead of putting him on medication right away, I went home and I just wanted to find out if there was something in our house that maybe was contributing or something in our diet. And I think it's from my past as a childhood cancer survivor and always being careful about what I ate that I kind of connected the two. And so I did a ton of research online and tweaked a couple things in our diet. And then by the time I went back to school a few weeks later, they no longer saw a need to test him. So we didn't cure the symptoms, but we lessened them.
With your cancer survival and then your children's challenges, like where was your education? Was that during the discovery of things going on with your son, or did you actually do your education before that, or as a result of that?
As a result of that. So that's a great question. So after that happened with him, I was really hooked. And then I started doing all this research and finding out it's not just what we eat, it's what we put on our skin too, because I never thought about that. So then I started seeing about there's like enhancing, I can't even talk, absorption enhancers in some of these ingredients that can actually help some of these toxins or ingredients in the product, whether harmful or not, get into the bloodstream quicker because it just helps them go through the skin quicker. And hidden toxins too that aren't required to be labeled on the product label, like formaldehyde releasers.
Oh my gosh, yes. We actually have a little bit of a similar challenge in the skin industry, right? Like especially fragrances, which is a huge sensitizer. You only have to label it if it's over a certain percentage in a formulation. So I'm so glad that you're bringing this up.
Yeah, fragrance is actually, artificial fragrance is one a lot of times that I recommend avoiding because I think the Chemical Society, can't remember the exact name of it, stocks names over 3,000 different chemicals that can make up fragrance.
Are there any big no-nos, like really big culprits that you would say a quick short list of 1 to 3 ingredients that you feel should not be in the home of anybody, that really is inhibiting their health and well-being? And I'm kind of in my head wanting to know, is there a difference between the big hitters that you would eliminate out of the environment of an adult and also versus a child, or is it the same for all?
Oh, I love that question because children do detoxify differently than adults do. They're not little adults.
Love the skin. Skin also is different in children than in adults. So that's kind of what led me to answer these questions. I'm glad I'm asking some good stuff.
Yes, I love that one. I never get asked that one. So their skin is a little thinner and things are allowed to pass through more quickly. And then the way they metabolize things are different too. So when they're actually breaking down the ingredients, they can actually become more toxic for kids. And yeah. And then of course, their detoxification pathways aren't as developed as in adults. So that leaves the toxins in there longer to do their damage, if they're going to do any, than an adult would, because adults have better detoxification that they can pass through quicker.
Right. So if I simplify that down just for my own headspace, what you're saying is that children can absorb toxins faster and elimination of toxins for children is slower.
Perfect. Yes.
Oh my gosh, that is crazy. Okay, well, I anticipated that to be the answer, but that's really good to get confirmation from people who know way more than I do. So that is fantastic. So with that, obviously then removing certain things from a home where there's children is even magnified, that there's something. So are there key things that you would immediately recommend to eliminate?
I think one of the biggest things is plastics around your food, the plastics in your kitchen.
Ooh.
Big ones. Yeah. And there's a few reasons for that because I'm really concerned with children and brain health. That's where I started and how these toxins can affect the development of the brain. But when you have a hot food, for example, and you're putting it into a food container, like a food storage container, if it's made of plastic, then it's got that hot food can actually help leach the plastic chemicals into the food. And then you can get exposure to things like phthalates and BPA, which are hormone disruptors. And
yes,
that really quick.
So are you talking about both purchasing packaged foods or heavily packaged foods and also storing after you've cooked and you're putting the leftovers away, giving secondary thought to what you're storing it in? So I'm assuming storing leftovers is better in glass containers, for example?
I get more concerned when it's hot food placed into a plastic container, like when you're going to store your leftovers. And to keep it simple, rather than everybody looking at their cabinet going, oh my God, I've got to replace all these plastic things, I recommend looking at your top 1 or 2 sizes of your plastic, or your plastic food containers, and replacing those first with glass ones. And there's a lot of great, reasonably priced glass ones out there. But as far as the salad, yes, it is still touching plastic. Not my very, very favorite, but at the same time, you're eating a salad. But the pre-washed stuff still should be washed, in just my personal opinion, because you don't know how well they wash them. But I would, and same thing, like if you're sending your child to school with like pretzels in a Ziploc bag, same thing. I'm not as concerned about that as I am hot food, or even putting plastic through the dishwasher or the microwave, which you shouldn't microwave anyway, but putting it through the dishwasher where it can also have the same effect and leach those chemicals. And certain things like that are acidic, like things with tomato sauce. So if you're putting like spaghetti into a plastic container, that acid can also help leach those chemicals faster into the food too. So even, I just really, that's probably one of the better things, because the endocrine disruptors, that's what that plastic and that BPA and the phthalates act as. The really short answer to endocrine disruptors is it's a man-made chemical that gets in the way of the endocrine system doing its job. And the endocrine system is where our hormones are made and produced and secreted. So there's hormones for everything. It's not just like when we're moody or like you think of usually.
I'm so sorry. That's me. I'm sorry.
There's hormones for everything. Like even when I started this journey, I didn't realize too, there's hormones for sleep, brain health, because the brain depends so much on hormones, and thyroid, weight, even hunger, reproductive system, like everything depends on hormones. So when there's a man-made chemical getting in the way of a hormone doing its job, either by mimicking it or blocking it or over or underproducing it, you can see where health issues can come up in so many areas of the body. So that's why I really recommend getting plastic away from your food.
I love that. And to our audience and my industry, this really speaks really loudly, because we most certainly see a lot of devastating skin conditions stemming from hormone imbalances. And oftentimes we do know that the gut health is so closely related to skin health. Mm-hmm. And actually, that's what I was speaking on at the symposium that I was just at in New Zealand in January. So about restoring the skin microbiome and how the gut microbiome is very closely related to that. And then, of course, your hormones have a big playing factor in that. And of course, that relates to brain health as well at the end of the day. So it's such beautiful synergy in our different worlds and what we're discussing here. So I love that.